to means test the winter fuel payment so that it is only targeted at those most in need. I know that not everyone in this hall or in the country will agree with every decision that I make. But I will not duck those decisions. Not for political expediency, not for personal advantage. Faced with that £22 billion black hole that the Conservatives left this year.
Rachel Reeves' Christmas tax bombshell, the fuel duty nightmare. Welcome to UK Corners, where we dissect the political machinations that shape our nation. If you're tired of the mainstream media's sanitized take on British politics, then you've found your home. Hit that subscribe button now, because what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you view Labour's economic strategy. Picture this. It's Christmas morning. You're filling up your car to visit family, and suddenly you're paying an extra 20 pence per litre. That's not a festive gift from Santa Claus. That's Rachel Reeves' early Christmas present to Britain's 37 million motorists. And frankly, it's a gift that keeps on taking. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, our very own Iron Lady wannabe, is reportedly considering a savage fuel duty hike just in time for the holiday season. Because nothing says seasoned greetings quite like reaching deeper into the pockets of working families, does it? But before we dive into this economic nightmare, make sure you're subscribed to UK Corners, because this channel is your insurance policy against political spin and economic deception. Let's be brutally honest about what we're witnessing here. Labour inherited a challenging economic situation, certainly, but they've managed to more than double the national debt in record time. That takes a special kind of economic incompetence, doesn't it? And now, faced with the consequences of their own fiscal recklessness, they're targeting the most vulnerable group in British society, the ordinary motorist who simply wants to get to work, feed their family, and contribute to the economy. The arithmetic here is as stark as it is infuriating. Britain already holds the dubious honour of having the highest fuel taxes in the world. While our European neighbours enjoy diesel fuel taxes that are 15 pence per litre lower, we are asked to shoulder an ever-increasing burden. The diesel fuel that powers our commercial sector, the lifeblood of our economy, is being strangled by tax policy that would make a Victorian workhouse master blush. Here's where it gets particularly galling. Rachel Reeves positions herself as a champion of economic growth, yet she's contemplating the one policy measure that will single-handedly torpedo any hope of genuine economic expansion. This isn't just counterproductive policy, it's economic self-harm masquerading as fiscal responsibility. And if you're finding this analysis valuable, consider subscribing to UK Corners, because we're just getting started on exposing the contradictions at the heart of Labour's economic strategy. The regressive nature of fuel duty cannot be overstated. While Rachel Reeves jets between Westminster and her Yorkshire constituency, it's a working-class families in Hartlepool, Stoke-on-Trent, and Burnley who will feel the pinch. The single mother driving to her cleaning job at 5 in the morning, the small business owner making deliveries across the Midlands, the pensioner travelling to hospital appointments, these are the people who will bear the brunt of Labour's ideological obsession with net zero targets. And speaking of net zero, let's address the elephant in the room. This isn't about saving the planet. It's about virtue signaling to the metropolitan elite while ordinary families pay the price. The government's own economists know that punitive fuel taxes will drive up inflation, reduce consumer spending, and ultimately decrease government revenue. Yet they persist with this policy because it allows them to appear environmentally conscious while avoiding the hard choices that genuine leadership requires. The historical precedent here should terrify anyone who remembers the economic chaos of previous decades. If the fuel price escalator had been rigidly applied since 2010, pump prices would now be approaching £2.30 per litre. The British economy would be in complete meltdown, with businesses closing, unemployment soaring, and families choosing between heating and eating. The 10.5-year fuel duty freeze wasn't just good policy, it was the only thing standing between Britain and economic catastrophe. Yet here we are, with Labour's financial mismanagement bringing us perilously close to recessionary conditions anyway. The irony would be amusing if it weren't so tragic for millions of British families. Make sure you're subscribed to UK Corners, because we'll be tracking every twist and turn of this economic disaster as it unfolds. The Chancellor faces 3 potential paths forward, and each one represents a different flavour of economic poison. She can raise taxes, cut government spending, or print more money through quantitative easing. The fact that she's apparently chosen the first option reveals everything you need to know about Labour's priorities and competence. Raising taxes, particularly on essential services like transportation, creates a vicious cycle of economic decline. Higher fuel costs mean higher prices for goods and services across the economy. Small businesses, already struggling with labor's employment law changes and corporation tax increases, will face impossible choices. Many will simply close their doors, adding to unemployment queues and reducing the tax base even further. The alternative of cutting government spending might actually represent the most sensible approach, but it would require labor to admit that their spending commitments are unaffordable. Instead of investing billions in Ed Miliband's renewable energy fantasies, they could focus on the infrastructure that actually matters: roads, bridges, and the transport networks that connect communities and enable commerce. The third option, printing more money, will be the most devastating of all. Quantitative easing in the current inflationary environment will be like dousing a fire with petrol. Food prices, energy costs, and housing expenses would spiral out of control, creating genuine hardship for millions while enriching the asset-owning class. It's a policy that would make even the most ardent socialists question their principles. But here's a truly maddening aspect of this entire situation. The solution is staring Rachel Reeves right in the face. Instead of punishing motorists and businesses with higher taxes, she could stimulate genuine economic growth by reducing fuel duty. The immediate impact will be transformational. Disposable income would increase for millions of families, business costs would decrease, and consumer spending would surge. The multiplier effect of lower fuel costs ripples through every sector of the economy. Delivery companies can expand their operations, creating jobs. Manufacturers can reduce their production costs, making British goods more competitive internationally. Families have more money to spend in local shops and restaurants, supporting small businesses and creating a virtuous cycle of economic growth. Don't forget to subscribe to UK Connors, because we're the only channel brave enough to tell you what the mainstream media won't. Rachel Reeves' economic policies are ideologically driven disasters that will impoverish working families while enriching the Green lobby and their corporate cronies. The political calculation here is as cynical as it is transparent. Labour knows that motorists don't typically vote for them anyway, so they can afford to alienate 37 million drivers if it keeps the environmental lobby happy. The well-funded green organizations and Ed Miliband's Department for Energy Security and Net Zero have more political influence than ordinary families trying to make ends meet. This isn't just bad economics, it's a betrayal of the social contract between government and governed. When politicians promise to improve living standards while simultaneously implementing policies that make life more expensive, they are treating voters with contempt. The assumption seems to be that ordinary people are too stupid to understand the connection between fuel taxes and living costs. The broader context makes this betrayal even more egregious. Britain is experiencing a cost-of-living crisis that shows no signs of abating. Energy bills remain historically high, food prices continue to climb, and mortgage rates have made homeownership a distant dream for millions. In this environment, any government with genuine compassion for working families will be looking for ways to reduce costs, not increase them. Yet Rachel Reeves appears determined to add fuel duty increases to an already crushing burden of taxation and regulation. Council tax, income tax, national insurance, VAT, corporation tax. The British people are already among the most heavily taxed in the developed world. The idea that they need to contribute even more to fund the government's environmental virtue signaling is not just economically illiterate, it's morally bankrupt. The international comparison makes Britain's position even more embarrassing. While our competitors are reducing business costs and attracting investment, we're driving companies away with punitive taxation and regulatory burden. The message to international investors is clear. Britain is closed for business unless you happen to be in the renewable energy sector and have the right political connections. If you're still watching, make sure you subscribe to UK Connors, because we're building a community of people who refuse to accept political spin as economic fact. The truth is that lower fuel taxes would generate more government revenue, not less. The increased economic activity, higher employment, and improved business confidence would more than compensate for the reduced tax rate per litre. This isn't theoretical economics. It's practical reality demonstrated time and again throughout history. The Laffer curve isn't just an academic concept. It's a proven relationship between tax rates and government revenue that politicians ignore at their peril. When taxes become so high that they discourage economic activity, reducing them actually increases total revenue while improving living standards. Rachel Reeves' apparent inability to grasp this fundamental principle raises serious questions about her competence as Chancellor. Either she doesn't understand basic economics, or she's willing to sacrifice British prosperity on the altar of ideological purity. Neither explanation inspires confidence in her ability to steer the British economy through challenging times. The timing of this potential fuel duty increase makes it particularly cruel. Christmas is when families travel to see relatives, when small businesses rely on increased sales to survive the winter months, when delivery companies work overtime to meet demand. Imposing additional costs at this critical time of year isn't just bad policy, it's deliberately harmful to the social fabric that holds communities together. But perhaps that's the point. Labour's metropolitan elite have little understanding of or sympathy for the lives of ordinary working families. They see cars as symbols of environmental destruction, rather than essential tools for earning a living and maintaining family connections. Their policy prescriptions reflect the prejudices of people who live in Zone 1 and think that everyone else should adapt to their lifestyle preferences. The environmental justification for higher fuel taxes is particularly hollow when you examine it closely. Britain accounts for less than 1% of global carbon emissions, while countries like China and India continue to increase their output dramatically. Impoverishing British families while allowing the real polluters to continue unchecked isn't environmental policy. It's performative masochism designed to impress international conferences rather than achieve genuine change. Subscribe to UK Connors if you want honest analysis that cuts through the green propaganda and focuses on policies that actually work. The truth is that prosperous societies are better positioned to invest in environmental improvements than struggling economies focused on basic survival. Destroying British prosperity in the name of environmental protection will achieve neither objective.